At one point in time, we were children, and the Spirit sought us out. Every person has spiritual experiences as a child. God, who has longed each one of us into existence, reaches for us, even when, maybe especially when, we were children. In a conversation with Renovari Ministry team member Richella Parham, and she's an author as well, and she's written this wonderful book, Mythical Me, Finding Freedom from Constant Comparison. We have a conversation around one of her early experiences with God. She roots this experience in her church of origin, in the Churches of Christ. And in a Church of Christ worship service, they don't have instruments. They just settle into the human voice worshiping God. And she talks about how in that early experience that she was singing as a child with God, and how joining her voice with God, she didn't experience any criticism, any judgment. And in a way, God had sang her into relationship. So as you listen to just a little bit of our conversation, listen for the way that her story might resonate with yours. What of your own experience of God when you were a child is stirred? Notice what might open up and what conversations you might be invited to have.
I would have to start by telling you that I was born into and heavily reared in the Churches of Christ. Mm-hmm. So we were, probably best to say, we were a God-fearing people, mm-hmm. i.e. scared of God, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So as a child, I tended to think of God as a father, angry father with whom I was constantly in trouble. Okay. That was my picture of God, except in one way. Mm-hmm. There's one thing about my Church of Christ heritage that I especially prize now, and that was the singing. Mm-hmm. So you probably know in the Churches of Christ, there's actually a very prideful clinging to the New Testament. You know, we were going to restore the New Testament church, right? And in the New Testament, there's never mention of instruments. Right. So we didn't use them. Yeah. Which is a sad loss, but the singing is really good. Mm-hmm. It's there's a lot of singing, and it's singing in 4-part harmony, and it's always congregational. There's never special music, it's always congregational singing. Mm-hmm. So what I realize now, with the benefit of hindsight, is that I did have early experiences of God through the singing. And that was sweet because I could do that. And when I was doing that, I actually was entering in. I didn't know I was singing with God, but I was. And when I was singing with God, He wasn't angry at me. And He wasn't disappointed in me. He was just there. And so, to this day, Lacey, it's really true. Get a hymnal, and you can quiz me. Yeah. I know the words still, the words and the tunes, and sometimes the key, to hundreds of hymns. It's this memory bank. It's like my memory bank of King James Version Scripture. I have this deep memory bank of hymns to God. And that is where I met God as a little kid. I was never in trouble when we were singing.
And you use this wonderful phrase, singing with God. So it was something that you were doing together?
Well, that's the way I think about it now. Yeah. I don't know that I thought about it then. But as I look back on my childhood, I realize that's where I got some understanding of the real God, the loving Father, the kind Jesus, the one who was not disappointed in me, the one whose arms could embrace me, even me, the clearly screwed up little one, right? I didn't feel that way. So I think it was singing with God because its effect on my psyche and on my emotions was one of love and acceptance and encouragement. So I think I was singing with God because that's the work of the Spirit, not the work of the enemy.
You know, some people say that you can listen someone to life, and it sounds like that God sang you to life.
Yeah. That's a good way to think about it. I think God sang me to life. And I didn't know that's what was going on.
Yeah.
But I sure am glad for it now.
Yeah.
Throughout the warp and woof of Richella's life, God was reaching for her, has been and continues to reach for her. And she has surrendered to his extravagant invitation of love. And a piece of that is her coming to terms and her finding freedom from comparison. So I really encourage you to grab her book, a copy of her book, and lean in to your own life with God and the freedoms that are being offered to you.